My name is James Young. I have 20 plus years in software development. I've been through 3 successful startup acquisitions and have a gamut of experience that tends to be more on the startup side of things, and I've only worked at enterprise via acquisitions. So I've worked in teams that are small as 2 or 3 people to Cisco, where it's a huge enterprise corporation. I've also worked at kind of middle or mid-size organizations. So I worked at Zynga. I helped launch a game called Farmville. And it's really those experiences, working with a small team, migrating to a larger corporation, working on social games, that I've really become aware of scalability issues, not only on the technical side of things, but organizationally as well. And I think one of the great things about what we're doing with adChain is that we're not trying to start a network from scratch. I think it's important to understand that we are bringing an entire industry on board day one. And so that's really exciting for me, because I think what we need to do is we need to generate mass adoption for the promise of smart contracts and blockchain to become real. We need people to actually use it, and I think that adChain is a great project because it serves as a vehicle to onboard an entire industry. We've been through many iterations. I would say that we started working on this in the beginning of 2015, and before Ethereum went live, and we were looking at different solutions, and we were trying to iterate, but we quickly bumped into the scalability issue. And so with the implementation of, or the possibility of state channels, we saw a glimmer of hope. So we've been iterating with our current kind of mandate, our current project, with consensus for about a year now. When you think about blockchains in general, it's easy to get caught up in the characteristics of the transparency, the mutability, solving for double spend. Those are great characteristics. At a higher level, what blockchain does provide, when 2 individuals or entities can communicate directly with one another, is the ability to extract that for an entire group. And so the real advantage, or the real feature that blockchain provides for digital advertising, is this coordination cost savings. That now, when you think about fraud is a problem that everyone wants to solve, but it's hard to coordinate. And we believe that a blockchain type solution, Ethereum specifically, helps with that coordination of the industry. When you take a step back and you look at fraud on online advertising, there are so many different types of fraud vectors. And fraud is, fundamentally, I think, is an inability for people in the supply chain of online advertising to coordinate. And so what you see in the industry is this trend towards centralization. And with centralization, you don't need to coordinate because you're going through an intermediary. Someone is controlling end-to-end the solution. I think we see that with the blockchain, you can get best of both worlds. That you can get the coordination cost savings of centralization, where everyone can use the system, but you get the added benefit that no one actually owns it. And that might be a subtle difference, but it's huge. So what we believe is that you can now democratize the industry without, you can democratize the industry while making sure that incentives are aligned. I think first it's the exposure to and a learning of blockchain and smart contracts. I think more importantly, when you deal with online advertising, you're dealing with systems at scale. And so the unique problem that we have is how do we use a blockchain, but how do we handle billions of events a day? And so the technical challenge of solving for scalability without compromising the characteristics of the blockchain are really interesting problems. We always saw the potential of the use case of a blockchain to help fight or combat fraud in online advertising. So we experimented with a bunch of different types of technologies, from consortium, private implementations, to even a hybrid model. And we settled on Ethereum because it was the most developer friendly, and it fit our use case. And for us at adChain, it's important that we are using the public or the mainnet. So this is not a private installation, or this is not a consortium installation. So our belief is, in order to really combat fraud for online advertising, we need to make sure that our solution is decentralized. I have several favorite Ethereum projects. I think that Gnosis is extremely interesting. Just the idea of prediction markets. I really am interested and fascinated by decentralized governance. So Aragon is a second project that's really interesting. A third one, which I think is needed to make Ethereum go mainstream, is something like a token card, where for me it wasn't real cryptocurrency until I could actually spend it and use it. So I connected my Bitcoin wallet with a credit card and was able to buy coffee with it, and that was really the moment where it felt real to me.